What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Now, before we get started in the video, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving, and I have a huge announcement. I have re-signed with Motive for another year, except for the following year, I'm going to be a brand ambassador for the Las Vegas region. This is a huge opportunity for myself, and this is something that I've wanted for quite some time, so I'm extremely happy that it's finally happening. So, for the video today, Andrew and myself are going to be comparing the Fatal Venom to the Supra. Stay tuned after the intro. So a lot of you really liked that I had Andrew in my video where we reviewed the Fatal Venom, and I like having him on the video too because him and I are completely different bowlers. So today we're going to compare the Supra to the Fatal Venom to see just how different they are between each of us. If you're new to my channel and like the content that you're seeing, I would super appreciate if you gave this video a like, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date every time I drop a new video. And if you like this jersey or any of the jerseys in any of my videos, you can head on over to logoinfusion.com, use my promo code Lewis, and that'll get you 20% off your entire order. So the Supra and the Fatal Venom have a couple things in common. They both have that Infusion Pearl cover, which you guys know how much I love. Okay, they both have the same out-of-box finish, being that they're 5500 laser scan polish, which turns out to be about 4000, followed by the Motive Power Gel polish. The core, however, in both of these bowling balls are completely different. I'm talking two complete ends of the spectrum. So we'll start with the Fatal Venom. The Fatal Venom has that gear core, which you guys know how much I love. It's one of the best cores in all of bowling. The gear core in 15 pounds has an RG of 2.48 and a differential of 0.034. So like we've said in the past, because that RG is on the lower side, the ball's going to want to get into a roll pretty early. And then that differential being in that medium-low category, the ball isn't going to produce a lot of flare. And the more flare that a ball has, the higher the hook potential. So you're getting like a medium hook potential ball that wants to get into a roll very early. Now, as we know, the cover is what dictates everything, or almost everything. So the cover being that it's Infusion Pearl, it's going to want to push it pretty far down lane. Then we look at the Supra, and the core numbers could not be any more different. The Supra features the high impulse core, which has an RG of 2.57, which is extremely high, and a max differential of 0.050 in 15 pounds. So the differential and the RG are both significantly higher in the Supra than they are in the Fatal Venom. So what that means for the Supra is the ball is going to want to be very long, and because the differential is 0.050, it's going to flare a lot. I mean, a lot more than the Fatal Venom. So you're going to get a ball that's going to be longer, stronger, and more angular than the Fatal Venom, at least on paper. We're going to see what it looks like on the lane. So for me, the Supra and the Fatal Venom, they were pretty different. The Fatal Venom liked to get into a roll a little bit earlier and still shape down lane, while the Supra, for me, wanted to get really far down lane and then like be really angular. For Andrew, they were even more different than they were for me, and that has to do with his ball roll being significantly more forward than I am, and his rev rate is significantly higher than mine. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have a Supra in your bag and what you think about it, and if you're considering ordering the Fatal Venom when it comes out on December 9th. I'm going to take you guys on the lanes now so you can see myself and Andrew comparing the Supra to the Fatal Venom. Thank you guys for joining Andrew and myself as we compare the Fatal Venom and the Supra. Now, as always, I'm going to show you every single shot that we threw in this session. As I've always said, and I will continue to say, showing all the shots, the good shots and the bad, is the only way to show you a true comparison between two bowling balls. Now, with that being said, Andrew and myself struck a ton during this session. These kind of bowling balls, meaning these lower end pearls like the Supra, like the Fatal, tend to strike a ton here at South Point. There is not a lot of volume in the middle and quite a bit of friction to the right. So because of that, once you get into these shinier pearl bowling balls, especially in that like medium category, they tend to go through the pins the absolute right way. Now, the one big thing that you should notice right away is just how much further left Andrew is than I. And that has to do 100% because of the rev rate. Andrew's rev rate is significantly higher than mine, and because of that, he's always going to be further left. Now, for me, I had the Supra and the Fatal just a little different, and obviously that's because I have a lower rev rate than Andrew. For for me, the Fatal was definitely cleaner through the fronts and more angular down lane. And then the Fatal was a little bit earlier, a little bit smoother, and then I was maybe like 2 boards right with the Fatal versus the Supra. Andrew, on the other hand, because he's so much more forward than I am, and because his rev rate is so much higher than mine, he had the balls, I would say, at least 10 to 12 boards further left than I was. And then between the 2 bowling balls, again, the difference was larger for him than it was for me. I don't know what the exact number was for Andrew, but if I had to guess, it was at least 5 to 6 boards more with the Supra for Andrew than the Fatal was. Now, the Supra and the Fatal Venom, in my eyes and in Andrew's eyes, are 2 completely different bowling balls. That just goes to show you how amazing this Infusion Pearl cover is. These balls are on completely different sides of the ball motion spectrum. The Fatal likes to get into a roll significantly earlier than the Fatal, while the Supra is really long, really angular. That just goes to show you how versatile this cover is. Now, I'm going to read you a little bit about what Andrew said about the Supra and comparing both of these balls. Andrew said that the Supra was a very clean with a quick response to the friction. It's definitely more angular and quicker than the Fatal, while the Fatal is a more consistent reaction overall and very readable. He said, I can see myself throwing the Fatal on a lot of conditions, while the Supra would be better for when the Fatal quits or if I can't find a way to get through the spot down lane. And to be honest, that's pretty much what I see in comparing these balls as well. I think that the more versatile one of the 2 is going to be the Fatal because of that core and how reliable and how readable that core is. The Supra, especially with the out-of-box finish, is just a little too clean and a little bit too quick for the response to friction on the fresh. On the fresh, in my opinion, the Supra would be better if we had knocked the shine off, like maybe 2,000 or 3,000, just to blend that super quick reaction down lane. One really big thing that caught my eye as I was editing this video was, and this really impressed me a lot about both of these bowling balls, just the fact that how well Andrew and myself matched up to both of these bowling balls, considering we are both very, very different bowlers. I mean, you see it all the time where a certain type of bowler matches up better to a specific ball. But for these bowling balls, as you can see in this video, I'm way more down and in than Andrew, and Andrew likes to really shape the lane. But the one thing that we have in common is that both of us matched up extremely well to both of these bowling balls. Now, what Andrew said about going to the Supra from the Fatal makes a ton of sense. In my testing so far, the Fatal has been a much better ball on the fresh, but if for me personally, if I get too far left, the ball tends to roll a little bit more forward, and then the Supra on the fresh tends to be a little too quick off the spot, especially when the back ends are a little bit crispier. So as the pattern breaks down and you develop that hook spot down lane, going to the Supra would be a much better option because it won't roll forward. It'll actually get down lane better than the Fatal, and then once it sees that friction, it'll make that nice quick move to the pocket. Like I've said in the past, I treat these bowling balls as tools, and part of that is knowing what tool to use for what job. So for me, I've learned that I much prefer the Fatal Venom on the fresh. So if I don't start with the Fatal Venom, I am very unlikely to go to it just because I know where that tool fits in my arsenal. And then same thing with the Supra. I will more than likely never start with the Supra, but it's more than likely going to be a ball that's going to come out of my bag when I need that specific ball motion or when I need that specific tool to come out of my bag. My opinion on the Supra is that it is the best ball that we have at getting down lane and always making that corner while still having that higher differential, so you're able to throw it a little bit more. I love the thrill, but because that differential is so low, it's very hard for me to get in and shape the ball because it doesn't have enough differential to come around the corner. With the Supra, you absolutely never run into that problem. It reminds me a lot, and I know I have to be careful when I say this, but the Supra reminds me a lot of what the original Primal Rage was when it first came out. It was that ball that you can get as far left as you want
and know that it was going to come around the corner. Now, obviously, it's hard to compare the Supra to the Primal Rage, which is arguably one of, like, maybe top 3 best balls that we've ever made. Now, I'm not saying that the Supra is up there as far as being one of the greatest balls we've ever made, but on our current ball chart, it is the best ball and the closest thing to an original Primal Rage that we have, meaning something that, like I said, is gonna get down lane and is going to shape. The Fatal is no doubt the more versatile ball of the two, but do not be mistaken that this Supra is good. So what I'm thinking is that if you are a higher rev rate bowler, maybe not necessarily as high as Andrew, but just someone that's up there in that higher rev rate, and you like to see your ball boom down lane, then something like the Supra with the out of box finish, meaning with that glass polish, I think will be a very, very good option for you. And then if you're still in that high rev rate category, but you don't like to see your ball boomerang down lane, something like the Fatal with a little bit of surface might be the absolute home run for you. And then if you're someone like me who's on that lower rev rate category, or maybe even someone who's lower rev rate than I am, the Supra might be a pretty good option if you like to get in and bend it, but with a little bit of surface. Just knock that shine off to maybe 3,000 or 4,000, just so that it's not as long as it is with the polish. Something that's going to read the middle part of the lane a little bit better. Or if you really like to play down and in, the Fatal Venom is a really good option to go down and in with, especially if you knock that shine off again to like that 3,000 or 4,000. Now, obviously, this isn't an exact science, you know, like give and take a little bit. Try it with 4,000, try it with 3,000, try it with polish. See what matches up better for your game. Now, going forward, like I've said, I'm going to do a surface video for every single bowling ball, and Andrew and I are going to do together the Fatal Venom so we can see how versatile this ball is going to be from polish and all the way down to 500, with Andrew being the higher rev rate and myself being a little bit lower rev rate, just to see which one of us matched up better to what surface and why. I think this will be a very critical video before you make your decision to purchase this Fatal Venom, to decide what surface you're going to like your ball at.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's my in-depth comparison between the Fatal Venom and the Supra. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys would like Andrew to be featured in more videos. I hope you guys like having him on the videos, because I sure do. Click right here to watch one of my older videos. Click right here to subscribe. Till next time, guys.